Hey all, welcome back to the Everyday Wholeness Show with Janet Uribe and myself, Karen Stultz, where we help inspire women and help you recognize that no matter what is going on, we are whole and we can be whole with choice, with enjoyment, but to recognize that being alive is being whole, right, Janet?
Oh my gosh. Yes. And even the things that we don't perceive as alive are also whole.
Indeed, indeed. We were talking about the awesomeness of beauty today, and I found it fascinating, a wonderful topic because we're in retrograde, and I'm sitting here feeling like I just want to cry. And I know that there are lots of things that go into that: nutrition, environment. It's been raining for the last couple of days, and it's at the time of this recording, the Queen of England has just passed. So I just feel akin to that, and I'm feeling a lot less than whole, Janet. But I also know that this is part of the beauty of life.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think if, you're saying you feel like you want to cry, I've been in this other state, kind of similar, sadness. I've been wanting to burn everything to the ground.
Ooh, violent,
A little
violent
bit more
girl.
aggressive than crying. It reminds me of an old coworker that I had that when things would get really crazy and rough, she'd say, you know what, Janet, wouldn't it just be easier to just burn it to the ground and start all over?
Yeah. Tear it down, start from scratch. Sometimes it is. Sometimes that's what we need to do. And I
Yeah.
think honestly, that is what keeps so many of us treading water, so to speak. We're
Yeah.
not going up, we're not going down, we're just treading water. And that can get very exhausting.
Oh, absolutely. And it's crazy because as the human in our human mind, human condition, human emotion, will really start to form a lot of resistance around it.
Hmm.
Instead of just looking at the beauty and the components that are involved in it that are for us, it really is quite beautiful.
It is
Um,
beautiful.
I'll give you an example. I had a couple weeks of just like not sleeping very well, determined to get certain things done in my company and another company that I work for, and just trying to really iron out kinks and create. And I've just kept being met with resistance and then technical difficulties and then last minute surprises and also trying to be a parent in all of this. And there's back to school initiatives and homework and extracurricular activities and meals. And I just felt like that treading water thing was every day.
Yeah.
But what I realized is that the more that I focused on treading of the water, guess what, guys? I was already waking up almost drowning the next morning.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's exhausting.
It's exhausting. But I had to have an energetic shift. And it's fascinating because once I kind of put my big girl panties on and started moving away, away from that cave like dark direction into, all right, I can do this. I can do this instead of resistance, instead of difficulty, instead of feeling like I have to swim upstream all the time. I was finally able to hit submit, enter, send, blah, blah, blah on all of these pieces. And the amount of weight that left was so beautiful, also very empowering, that a whole new set of things came up for me to address, for me to learn with, right? A lot of people say if you don't plan to fail. If you want to succeed, right? But the idea being I'm learning as I'm going. And what was fascinating is I got to hand something off today to a coworker. And when I was about to do it, I at first saw just a little glimmer of resistance. And then the second she took it on and ran with it and she hit her submit and her enter button, and it was her first time doing this, whoa, she also had a similar experience. So it's really fascinating because as I was sitting there witnessing my discomfort, I could also see her discomfort, which were both uncomfortable, yucky, mucky waters, treading. The second we hit send, we both move in the forward trajectory, very natural, downstream, no resistance. But these things are meant to instigate our growth.
Exactly. Exactly. And I love the fact that you mentioned, if you're going to plan to fail. I think one of the greatest things one of my mentors told me was go out there and fail at least 100 times. See how many people we can get to say no to you today. Let's make sure we have at least 5 people every day say no to you. And plan on failing. And yeah, then we have the choice. Okay, we can feel horrible about it because we were planning on succeeding, right? But when you go out and plan on failing and having a good time with it, with heart, it gets to be the game, and it is a whole lot easier. And that failure teaches us something each and every time it happens.
Absolutely. And I think, friends, I know you've heard us talk about this, about the polarized state and how the polarized state is actually out of balance, right? We want to be the empath and the good guy. We don't want to be the narcissist and the bad guy. We want to be humble. We don't want to be arrogant. And failure and success go hand in hand too. They are part of this process. They are part of our human condition. So yeah, I'm going to plan to have tons of successes. I will likely have lots of surprises and failures as well. It doesn't mean that that's what I necessarily wanted, but it's really about standing in the power of choice of knowing, okay, so I screwed this up, or this didn't go well, or all of these planets are in retrograde, or these things are happening. Now let's use it. Let's use the information that we recently just learned in this predicament, in this scenario, in this pattern of my life, in this mucky water. And let's use it to see how to build our next stepping stone, how to not commit this pattern again, how to learn, and ultimately, guys, how to grow. How do you grow from it?
Well, it's just like Thomas Edison, when asked, how could you keep going when you failed so many times in creating the light bulb?
Yeah.
And it was, hey, I never failed. I never failed. I just found 999 ways of not doing it.
Yeah. That's such a good
Find
point.
the awesomeness of the beauty of the situation. And as we're talking here, like I said, we're in retrograde. Well, a lot of people have heard about Mercury in retrograde, but we are in super retrograde with about 7 different planets all in retrograde. And that affects a lot of our life. And the Mercury in retrograde affects our communication. And that's where the click send and enter and everything, and it isn't working. And so like Janet was saying, we can be resistant to it and put our fists through the computer, which really doesn't serve a whole heck of a lot, or stomp around and scream, or go into a state of depression and sadness and whatnot. But we can also look at it, recognize what's going on, appreciate it for what it is, irksome as it can be, and do what we need to do to feel better. Look at it with different eyes. Make the choice that this is not working right now, so I'll step away and I will come back 15 minutes from now. And who knows what might happen in 15 minutes.
So true. And then there's even more to it too, right? Because we're literally working on the mind there in terms of make a different choice, choose consciously, step away, return. But if we were really get into the pragmatics of using a scenario, like a difficulty, an obstacle, a pattern, a mucky thing, then it would actually look like us recognizing it, observing it in a witness stance of, all right, so this is for me. And every single breath, every single step, every single action or inaction, every single thing that I interact with and my relationship with this predicament or scenario before me is actually preparing me for the next thing and for the next thing and for the next thing. And a lot of times and Karen, I wonder how you feel about this. I find that a lot of people that get into this work, and I feel like I was one of them in the beginning, like, I'm going to do this work because I don't ever want to be in pain ever again. That's it. I don't ever want to have to go through that crap, and I don't ever want to do this.
Life is too short to be in pain all the time. Yeah.
I want to raise my frequency and my vibration so that I am untouchable. But that is not whole.
No.
Because the whole idea of being in human form is to have the polarity. So if anything, as my vibration does grow, as my frequency does grow, as I do expand in a more expanded consciousness, then the degree of troubles and difficulties or obstacles or patterns that will also show up will also be to the degree of what I have grown.
Well,
They'll
they
be
can be. They can be.
Can be. They don't have to be. And
No.
if anything, you don't have to stay stuck there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
You do not have to go down the tubes. You
Yeah.
can spiral down, you can spiral up.
Yeah. You have choice. But I will tell you this. You are here for never-ending expansion. And in the fact that you are here for never-ending expansion, the next thing will come up. And that in itself is truly beautiful.
It is. It is. It's looking at whatever does come up with and noticing when the resistance pops up, because we're human.
Yeah.
That's what happens. We have the resistance, so it pops up. But looking at that resistance and saying, maybe there's another way to look at this.
Yeah.
What is the beauty in this resistance? What is this resistance telling me and trying to show me so that I can be more beautiful?
Yeah, that's very whole.
Life is a journey, and we are on an awesome wholeness journey. And I love it. I love it. And the Everyday Wholeness Show is here to help you and us, because we're part of this too, right, Janet?
Yeah, all of us.
All of us, to be as whole and loving and honoring, if not accepting all the time, but honoring where we are and appreciating the beauty of that.
That's well said, my friend.
So guys, thank you for joining us for another Everyday Wholeness Show. Be sure to check us out on YouTube and leave us your comments. We want to hear from you. Let us know what you think, what you agree with, what you don't agree with. It's all part of the wholeness of being. And by the way, you can leave your email in there if you would like to get reminders for the Everyday Wholeness Show. So until next time, be whole.